welcome to 709 Meridian, an audio commentary podcast. My name is Andrew.
And this is D.
And we are working our way through, we are climbing the mountain still. We'll be halfway through after this one of our Eddie Murphy's 80s failures asterisk. And we started with Best Defense, which we walked away with a very, this is not Eddie's fault, because he has no bearing on the problems of the film, really. But this week we are discussing Eddie's follow-up to Beverly Hills Cop, also a Christmas release. It was Eddie for Christmas with The Golden Child, 1986, directed by Michael Ritchie, who had just done Fletch. And
Which
it
was
is
super clone from Beverly Hills Cop.
yes.
In a way.
And so this is like, well, it's funny because and you can go back and listen to the Cop season. But this was PG-13, and
Oh, that's right.
Roger Ebert said that this was like a better character for Eddie than Beverly Hills Cop because he didn't have a good character in Beverly Hills Cop, that movie where he played Axel Foley. Okay. So then they said that the test screening of this, they changed Eddie so much. They reshot a bunch of stuff with Eddie to take out like any new character stuff and just make him a generic Eddie Murphy character, which is one of the problems Eddie's had his career, is getting these sort of generic parts without like any. When we will get into it with this, folks, but when people talk about how nobody used to have character development, this is a fine example of it. We also will have Charles Dance. I might make some Game of Thrones jokes because there's some snow involved. We will have some magic, which I did not know about, which we will discuss. We will have some really bad music. We'll have some really bad editing. We'll have, I believe, some nice photography at times. One good special effects shot that was startlingly good. And we will have Charlotte Lewis getting doused in water for some reason. And that reason is because it makes her shirt see-through, and they set up the whole sequence. And we'll also get to see her and Eddie apparently be love interests, but be incredibly chaste because
PG-13.
And also, I mean, it's not like she's white, but
yeah, she's right. She's not
she's not
she's the wrong kind of
enough. Yes.
Yeah.
She's not, she would upset some of the Eddie Murphy moviegoers.
Yep.
What the fuck? Okay, folks. Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Of course, you've seen this. You didn't just see it for the first time 10 hours ago.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, play. We joked last episode about Best Defense that usually we're so happy to see this Paramount logo, and then we watched Best Defense. 75th anniversary, though, so I did my research.
Definitely mid-80s.
According to some of the trivia, it's unclear whether or not Eddie said no at any point. Said no. Okay, the present day thing makes absolutely no difference because there's no past or future thing, so you don't have to say it's Here's the start of our music. It's like Willow. It's so weird. But shit. Did my research. Oh, and also when you said the golden child was a girl, I thought that was going to be a reveal this whole time, and there's going to be like some added depth about
No.
like the assumption of the patriarchal Buddha system, and then it turns out to be a girl or something, and it's like, and I was no, that wasn't it. It's just they got
Nope.
a girl. Uh,
Yeah.
Thankless, but arguably the second best performance in the movie.
Right. Got paid, didn't even have to say nothing.
Though it is, problematic cultural, uh,
Yeah.
not appropriation, but rendering, I guess. Um, when I started this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay up late, watch Kundun next. I did not do that. I did not do that, but I thought about it. Okay, so that guy has face makeup on, which is important because this is a movie where the thugs have makeup. They have silly
All right.
makeup.
They're all creatures or some weird
Yeah,
shit.
it's like it's like a Jim Wynorski movie at some level. Like it's so fucking weird. Okay, Victor Wong should be in this shot. No spoilers, but he is not. Um, poor Victor Wong. I was so excited when I saw his name, and then I didn't realize that even though Big Trouble in Little China must have only come out like that, there was something in the ether that led to
He was too, this guy.
yeah. There's like three people who were in both. Okay, so about the making of this. Now, it was written by Dennis Feldman, who had only written Just One of the Boys, which I've never seen in its entirety, and Species, which does not hold up, though
Mm.
it's a lot better than Species 2, as I recall. Um, okay, so there's actually fucking magic. So that was when I was like, wait a second, there's magic in this?
I like
Yes,
some Michael Jackson video shit.
there is some magic in this. Um, this was written as a Mel Gibson vehicle.
Oh wow.
Mel Gibson passed, and they turned it into an Eddie vehicle. Eddie tried to get George Miller, who directed Mad
Mad Max.
Max, to do it, but then Eddie kept George Miller waiting 4 hours, so George Miller didn't do it. So instead, they get Michael Ritchie, who has just done Fletch, which is very much a, we saw Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Like,
And Fletch is very much Beverly Hills Cop light because you wasn't gonna get Chevy to do a lot of what Eddie did in Beverly Hills
no,
Cop.
you get Chevy to walk around and
You get him to
duck
walk
a few
around and
times.
wear fake teeth.
Um, there's not going to be a lot of running for Chevy. Um, but I mean, it's the Harold Faltermeyer connection, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, they very much made it post Faltermeyer, like post how Beverly Hills Cop, did that thing. So but then the first test screening of this, supposedly, people did not like Eddie not playing Axel.
Uh,
So they like took out the character work and instead he's just going to be Axel Light, which Roger Ebert liked. Um, and but the resulting movie is you just have Eddie doing PG-13 versions of Beverly Hills Cop scenes in absurd contexts. And then there was also this thing that supposedly this, or not supposedly, there was a chance Eddie would have been in or in Star Trek 4
all right.
playing Gillian Anderson, presumably with a different first name and without shagging the Shat. Who knows, right? Oh, an ad for Power, that movie that I've never seen, the Sidney Lumet one with all those actors in it that's supposed to just be terrible. Gene Hackman's in it. Richard Gere, supposed to be terrible. Um, I don't think it's Michael Ritchie. This beginning is very Beverly Hills Cop, except it's just fucking LA. It's so stupid. Just wait for it. It's like you're watching They Live, only like an impatient They Live. It's so weird. And as Eddie pointed out, this was a fucking hit. He's like,
Well, this was the one movie. It was a flop, but it made money because it was Eddie
yeah.
and that damn hat, that cool Mo D hat.
Well,
He made people go get these hats, man.
I also assumed that there was some point to the hat, which makes me
No,
very mad if they cut it. Like, but okay, so here's your quick cuts, right? Like, we could just be watching Beverly Hills Cop 1.5 right now.
yeah.
Like, Axel Goes Hollywood or something. Like, look at this. Like, why? Okay, at least this is a scene. So now Eddie also wanted to be an action star. I don't know if we talked about this during some of the Beverly Hills Cop episodes, but like he kind of wanted to do an action movie, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
this was they also tried to get John Carpenter to do this, which makes a lot of sense because it's basically Big Trouble in Little China, Big Trouble in Little Tibet. So, okay, who is this guy?
Oh, he's a sitcom guy.
Because he looks like Mickey Rourke looks like today, but I
Yeah,
saw
he was
Mickey.
big on. He's on a lot of sitcoms, that dude.
Okay, so this is a terrible scene here where Eddie's on public access trying to get the word out about this girl, um, and they keep cutting away from him, and so he'll interrupt the
Mm-hmm.
scene. He's like an independent finder of lost children. We
He's
do
like whatever the hell Mr. T was.
right. Like
He's a walking what do you call it? He's a walking idol. He's somebody. God, what do they call? Not a big brother, but like
he's kind of like a was it no the brother and
he runs a community center, right, or some shit.
no they don't need they if that was in here they cut it. He will be playing basketball with a bunch of
Basketball
kids
with
at some
kids.
point,
Yeah.
which is just like okay. I mean it just seems weird because they're trying to make him very likable and like family friendly by having him care about missing kids. But then the entirety of the movie is going to be about them wanting to kill this little kid. And so it's just like, you know what? Parents don't actually enjoy 90 minutes of thinking about being asked to imagine their child dying. Like it
he's
it it's a weird vibe.
he's the neighborhood role model. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, for
He's
all
like
of
he's like
LA.
yeah, he's like Mr. T and Dolomite to a certain extent.
Mm. Okay,
Like he
so
has no actual occupation.
But I mean, at this point, I was like, okay, well, we are getting a sense of it being an LA movie. We're gonna lose that. Like, this might be the only scene where there's any sense of it being an LA movie. Okay, so leading lady Charlotte Lewis.
There
Um,
was rumors. I don't know how true that her and Eddie had a little thing.
hmm. Well, if they had real life chemistry, suffice to
Yeah,
say,
it
it does
ain't
not come
showing
through
here.
here.
Nah.
It does get you thinking, though, like, it did take Eddie. Well, no, because he was fine. He and Lisa Albacher were great together in one. So,
Yeah,
no.
that's why, it
Yeah.
does suck that it was so taboo back then. This is why I still love Julia Stiles for, for making it legit.
Yes, they are going to have Eddie and Charlotte Lewis are going to have a full on love story with absolutely no chemistry, maybe no kissing. Um, but
Oh, I really don't think they don't, do they?
hold on.
At
I
all.
mean, no, but they tell a third party about their like, you know, desire for wedded harmony or something. It's fucking weird and it's now that I know that they cut a bunch out of it, including somebody being like, isn't that lady white? And them having to cut some things, but like, because this should end. We'll talk about it when it gets there, but this ends as like a franchise starter. But they
Right. They
cast
they thought for
somebody
sure this was gonna get a part two.
like in some ways, there's no reason it shouldn't be good. I mean, Eddie doing this, not sure about the hat. Um, but like you could work Eddie into this, right? Like this is not impossible. He really needs a what he's not going to get is a partner because Eddie
No.
probably did not want to have to share the spotlight with a Nick Nolte or something. But I don't know, man. They needed to give him. I mean, the person didn't exist because theoretically, what you would have wanted is you would have wanted like some 35-year-old Chinese lady, like
Or something.
some
Somebody
older
who knew
cop
the
partner.
lore.
Yeah, like a Tyne Daly, but Asian. Like,
Why you mentioned Ty is she Jesus, man. What missed opportunities for her, right?
okay, hold on, everybody. Bloody oatmeal. Yeah, I mean, no. Tyne Daly fucking should have had, I don't know, one of the first, like, well, even in the stuff that was there, it's never like she got a fucking Neil Simon lead, right? Like,
Uh-uh.
and she could do everything. And they just,
Exactly. Like I got mad when I saw she was in the cast list for Homecoming, Spider-Man.
mm,
I was like, well shit, why is she not Aunt May? Why did they have to why did they have to go the you know, why did they have to go Marissa Tomei route?
um, because Kevin Feige was horny for Aunt May and he knew that people wouldn't accept it with the comic accuracy that
Yeah.
he wanted of fucking I don't know, man, Gloria Stewart from fucking Titanic comic accuracy. Like Aunt May was always like infirmed, aged, like 2 steps away from a fucking walker
Yeah.
in the comic. Like, if you read the first, like, the old
We didn't
Ditko,
make her modern till
is she
uh,
even modern? Oh, well, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, so Ultimate Spider-Man, and that was a big deal, and there was a whole big
Even in that,
one.
she's in. She's a gray fox.
Right. She's a gray fox, but she's not the only age appropriate lust
Hmm.
object for the dads in the audience, which is what they did with Marissa Tomei. Um, God, I'm so fucking mad at that show, that series. Like, they really did just like punt with that last one. Anyway, okay, so yep, we're done with that. We've had a costume change. Oh no, Eddie's just taken off his hat. Um,
That's literally now called the Golden Child hat too. Like, hey, James Hong.
um, okay, so
And that
if
guy.
if you children are not aware, making fun of Chinese people was actually like one of the last hills that Hollywood was willing to die on. Like, just
There
how
wasn't
many?
pushback.
Yeah, and if
You
or
know,
they were able to like,
there wasn't pushback on it till other people spoke up and said, "Hey, man, this why the fuck?"
yeah, like, and that was like 1999 because
Mhm.
Lethal Weapon 4 is from
Probably, yeah.
1998, and it has just like it
That
has
was the
a
line.
whole bit
That was where the
about,
line was drawn. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like Lethal Weapon 4 I have not seen in very many years.
Mm.
um but it seems weird that for sort of a forgotten mini legacy sequel almost,
That's what it feels like.
um it actually, like, it didn't bring Jet Li to the US market, even though it did lead to him showing up in it did kick it off, like him
Hmm.
having movies in the US market, but it did not he'd never found success like they were expecting. But it did actually have, like, there were repercussions to Lethal Weapon 4, which is
Hmm.
just interesting because it's kind of milk toast in what it's. But don't forget, folks, Mel Gibson says when you meet an Afrikaner in the United States, you romance the one good one, shoot most of them in the head, and beat the worst one to death with your hands. So don't forget, folks, broken clocks are right twice a day. Okay, so but yeah, so because Eddie could have had a Kurt Russell career. There's no fucking reason Eddie couldn't have had a Kurt Russell career
Hmm.
because people were. Okay, so that's, I guess, a good question. I don't know if black audiences were desperate for it, but white audiences were desperate for Wesley Snipes to be a funny action hero too, and he wasn't.
All right. Well, he took
Like,
his martial arts so seriously.
he took his martial arts
You know?
seriously, but he also didn't like doing comedy. Like,
Right.
because a vast majority of audiences fell in love with Wesley Snipes in Major League. Like
Yeah,
that's a
Major League.
fact.
Anytime they had him with Woody, yeah, it just
Like that was where he was like super. He had the
well,
most crossover success.
it was because of Blade though. When Blade was legit for him, that's when he said, "Oh, I don't need to be silly." But
Because he spent a lot of time
thankfully,
being silly when you think
yeah,
about it. Like,
thankfully Eddie brought it back out of him though
yeah,
with back to back Dolomite and Coming to America Part Two because Wesley kills in that movie. He's one of the few good things in that shit.
and yeah, I would. Okay, so that cut establishing that Eddie's sitting down is I found it'll be important in a bit, but it's also quizzical. Um, these sequences are fucking weird because they're like about torturing it, or they're about terrifying a child who's not terrified, but also we're not supposed to identify, like we're not supposed to empathize with them being a child in this situation because they're magic. So that's
Right.
interesting, but they're better than some of the other parts, I guess. Like,
Oh,
yeah, Randall Tex Cobb
Randall Tex Cobb.
in makeup, folks. That's not just what he looked
Yeah.
like. Um, but yeah, so the screenwriter. So everybody, I don't think Michael Ritchie has ever made a statement about it, but like the screenwriter blames. Screenwriter was like, "This isn't the movie you're supposed to be watching that anybody wanted to make, but it's also Michael Ritchie did a bad job even in that context." And it's
Oh,
sort of hard to disagree, but it's also like it's not a good script, man. Calm down. Like, calm down, Dennis Feldman. Well, because I was watching this and I was expecting,
oh God.
okay, it
What
picks
was
up a
this? Will
little,
Benton?
it picks up a little fucking, oh, it's just a matchstick. I thought it picked up a nail, and I'm like, is the little kid gonna have it throw it and kill fucking um Randall Tex Cobb? That's wild, man. That's hardcore. No, the kid does not do that. Um,
Oh,
so the oatmeal and the blood thing, I think we've gotten to it, but basically they need to make the kid eat the oatmeal and the blood to weaken the kid so the kid's vulnerable to attack. Now, we get whole bits about the kid knocking over the oatmeal. It'll come back later as a thing, but the kid is staying alive by chewing on these single leaves that track, the progression of Eddie's quest. So very tidy. Totally thought this was supposed to be like an Indiana Jones, like an Alan Quartermain type thing. It's not. Most of this movie takes place in LA, cut between Eddie and girl investigating and Charles Dance torturing kid. Like,
yeah. This, this just isn't. This was such a. I don't know. It really. it just it it can't exist anywhere outside of the 80s anyways.
No. Okay, speaking of which, this was when I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, and then I'm like, why is the effects edit so bad? Like the reaction that Eddie goes from like,
Yeah.
I just love the references too. He's got an Elvis Presley poster on his wall. He references the Twilight Zone. Like, okay, but we're still trying to solve. So we're 27 minutes in. This is a 93-minute movie. I don't remember how long the credits are, but it was the 80s, so they didn't really pad that
No.
way. But here we get a biker gang, though we are driving through some nice LA streets. I think we just reused that shot though, or some of it. But biker gangs in 80s movies were that was one of those funny things that it started on TV. Shit, it started on TV, I think, in the 70s. Cause like
Yeah.
I bet Rockford fought a biker gang or had a showdown,
Everybody did at
right?
one
Like
point.
everybody had a biker gang
Wasn't the
scene.
biker gang that took out Chips one time?
But somehow that got, upgraded to movies. And so you would,
Yeah.
for a while, just have biker gangs in movies, and you would never really have. Have has there ever been a successful? What's like the most successful biker movie? Is it like fucking Ghost Rider by technicality or something? Like
Mm,
it's just never quite made it that far. And I mean, probably because some of it was is like, the popular culture of, you know, personification of bikers was either bland, fat white guys with beards or kind of multicultural and um, not coming
well,
off.
bikers in the 80s got sort of put to the wayside because punks became the new bikers.
You also had Satanists, punks
Yeah.
and Satanists. But I guess what I was just trying to say is it wasn't until later that, the culture started to
Mm,
acknowledge the
well, yeah.
Nazi stuff. So bikers could be, I don't know, you could have a biker where it's a bunch of white guys and a bunch of Hispanic guys and a bunch of black guys, and it'd be fine. In on TV in the 70s and stuff. It was the multicultural street gang thing, but you could still do it with bikers. Once you got to the movies, it was less because I think Dead Bang, weren't there
Oh, God.
bikers in Dead Bang? I need to watch that again.
They were Aryans, though,
Yeah, but I
I think.
mean, it
Just
was
like Stone Cold.
right. Stone Cold. What was the other biker movie? Cool as Ice. So like somebody always thinks that motorcycles are going to be really cool to film or something, and they're always
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, here we get
Oh,
um
oh, this is the
yeah, she's also going to get her shirt wet.
mhm.
Um oh, we totally skipped talking about the opening credits theme song, which is a remnant of when John Barry did the score. He was replaced with the fake Harold Faltermeyer synth of Misha Kolimba. Okay, so
Mm.
we get this,
Oh,
and it is just like at
very
some
nice.
point they tone it down, but for a while they're just like
Yeah, it because
it's
since the movie doesn't, it's PG-13,
it's PG-13.
so they could legit show this.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand about early PG-13. PG-13 wasn't about um wasn't really as much about violence or, adult suspense or terror or whatever like Gremlins and Temple of Doom had. It was mostly a way to get boobies
Yeah,
on screen
they
for
were always trying.
teenagers.
Yeah, for teenage boys and girls.
And like that was the whole bit. Like all of it was just about whether or not you get to see some boobies if you go to this movie. And nobody ever talks about it. But now, when you just fucking look at the movies of that era, you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, what is this doing in here? Like, ugh. What I'm saying is, if you want to complain about the four quadrants of blockbuster cinema of the
Uh,
2020s, think about what the four quadrants were in the 80s. They don't even have like a good biker, like a
oh,
good, like, well, they spent too much fucking money on the special effects, and we'll get to that. But like, once you get to that, you're like, oh, you didn't
that's
really have
pretty
any
much.
money for anything else.
But that's the thing. I think they concentrated a lot on those sequences that the rest of this is so drab. Like you can't even. It's not even just paint by numbers. It's just. Eh.
It must have been really weird in 1986 because it's, for the most part, it's Eddie Murphy, movie star Eddie Murphy, in this fucking like
I think.
TV movie
Yeah.
that's
This
like
feels.
cut like an Eddie Murphy, like that's cut like Beverly Hills Cop. If this feels like if Eddie had had like some major like drug bust and had to come back and do a public service TV movie. And then they turned it into a movie, and then they turned it into theatrical. They upgraded it.
But this is definitely the excuse why Eddie sort of glammed it up more in Beverly Hills Cop 2,
Oh yeah.
since this was the wedge between 1 and 2.
Okay. I believe this is where we're going to establish that Eddie can kick ass too.
Mm.
But we don't get martial arts movie scenes. Even we don't get funny fight choreography. We get just fucking, Spider-Man the TV show level action, right? Like
Hmm.
less than.
Staged. Super
So
staged.
yeah. I guess I'm glad that there's not like some rumor that Michelle Yeoh didn't get this because she wasn't willing to get a boob job for it or something.
Huh.
Because wouldn't she have been the right age? Hey, there you go.
Probably just about. Well, oh.
It's just like, okay,
Oh man.
like, what the fuck am I watching now? Like, oh my God, those fucking. So, Charlotte Lewis's coat thing is a very 80s cut. Like, the detail on it's different because she's got to be a little um, ethnic coded. But
Mm.
But like that, like the shoulder, the low shoulder pad. Look at that. That's a mom's
Oh wow.
fucking sitcom outfit, just like with accoutrement. Okay. Charles Dance, on the other hand, and I didn't talk about this earlier, and I thought I was going to. He doesn't have his arms through his shirt sleeve, his coat sleeves. And
Mm.
in the first scene, it looks super silly because in the wind, his like little arms are the empty coat arms are flapping everywhere, and it's silly. You gotta understand, folks. It's movies like this that made that. This is the reason Total Recall was like a revelation. Like,
Oh,
however, his visit with Dormammu here
right.
is gonna get fucking impressive.
Time to
Not
make a bargain.
okay, about here, and just watch this.
I'm guessing that's Frank Welker.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you can see that you can actually see the fucking composite outline on it now, but like clearly look at the fucking work somebody put in on this fucking miniature. Like, are you why? Why the fuck would you do that? Like, look at this.
It does look similar to Bill and Ted's Hell.
Yeah, it's just like I hope that you didn't well also the era of rewrites and the era of script doctors, that was very much a 90s thing. Like, it got started, I'm sure, in the 80s, if not earlier, right? But, like, because really, all you needed for this, besides them to have the stones to try to do a different Eddie Murphy movie, would be a Carrie Fisher rewrite, right? Like one of those
Mm-hmm.
type deals. You just
All they had
get
to do is punch it up.
punch it up a little bit. Um, and there were articles about this where they would just detail who worked on what, right? Like Carrie Fisher wrote the romance in Armageddon. Somebody else wrote this, but so you'd get, and then what was it? I think I think it's something like Thomas Crown. They just said she worked on this part, I worked on this part, or something.
Mm.
And it it became the norm. And at this point now you have like at least if not in actuality, in practice, a lot more of a communal like writing situation because you have writers' rooms for movies, which is not something that you ever would have thought about. Also, this weird dream sequence should be good. This should be a fucking Tim Burton-esque. Why wasn't Tim Burton consulted for this? Like, if you want to do this shit, like,
'Cause it would be broad. And Burton would probably want to do a lot of effects and shit. You know, his
oh,
stop motion and
I just thought of it. This would have been a good Joe Dante.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Since the movie doesn't say it, here's my backstory for Chandler Gerald. Chandler Gerald was a local television celebrity in LA. Maybe he had an amusing talent. Maybe he won the All Valley martial arts thing. Whatever. He became a tracker of lost children because of some missing childhood friend, let's say.
Mm.
But he has a weird relationship with being on film or whatever, on camera, because that's the only explanation for the audience being there and the applause and shit. So there you go. It's a mixed media commentary on the indifference of television viewers to missing children.
Mm.
I miss just watching Ransom every once in a while. Nice Ransom extended cut. It's, it's a really fucking, it's a really good movie.
I haven't seen that in a minute either.
Piece of shit. Fucking ruining movies. Oh,
Wow.
so yeah. What's worse is this is arguably her best performance in the film.
Well, it looks like she keeps looking like she's about to laugh.
Yeah, but that's better than the rest of it.
Yeah. Oh man, they haven't gone to Tibet yet either, have they? Jeez,
No,
fuck.
they haven't talked about going to Tibet yet. Because you got to remember there's another 5 minutes about that.
This movie is always longer than I remember.
It's got a bunch of fucking story. So we're just finding out the villain we met in the beginning of the movie's thing in the last scene. Or in the first scene, we're finding out 45 minutes in.
Mm.
So here is um, the great twist. Charles Dance will only let the Golden Child go if they give Charles Dance this dagger. They're going to trade for it. But the only reason Charles Dance would want the dagger is to kill the Golden Child. So that seems like there's a trick involved here. And so they're going to go get the knife and presumably give it to Charles Dance in exchange for the child. Again, going back to, God, I don't know, probably the mid 60s, if not earlier, you would have ransomed children or ransomed people drops, which would
Uh,
involve setting that up. This movie forgets that that should be a thing. Like, I'll wait for your instructions for how we do this exchange.
hmm.
It's very strange.
I, I just, yeah,
Like, why do we have that? Like, it's just, we're going to start talking about dream transmission. None of it is going to matter.
oh yeah, that coat jacket
Yeah.
thing that was specially designed for this. It had to be.
They also seem to be like cutting it really fast, um, which is Beverly Hills Cop is actually like the perfect example of this. Um, Part of comedy can be watching the energy build between the actors in the scene and then, cutting to sort of emphasize that that energy. But
Mm,
when you've got really bad acting, you just cut between the dialogue and you rely on the dialogue carrying things. And yeah, it's really fucking annoying because then again, you can go watch the Superman the movie TV cut now, and you can see what happens when you don't cut the shit out of something. So maybe I should keep my mouth shut. But even that's different. That's a beautiful editing job on the fucking comedy in Superman. The way they fucking cut down the broadness of the fucking
yeah,
comedy, like it's incredible.
it's just it.
Okay,
It
so
oh
we missed that we're confirmed that they're fucking, and she likes it enough that she did it again. Observe this boiling chemistry between the two. Yeah, I guess because I was expecting the whole like golden child is really a girl subplot in the last act, like you wouldn't just end it with Doomsday killing Superman type deal. Um, I was like really hopeful for that subplot that doesn't exist
mm.
except in my head. Oh,
Now none of this is on location, is it?
I don't think so. Some of the inserts, I believe, are going to be on location. When he goes and walks around,
Mm.
like We can. I didn't actually stick around for the credits. We can see.
because it just that
But that's just the back of Eddie. Like, and it was
there would
just the back of the girl. Like, yeah.
there would just be no real reason to go over there.
No. And I that all of these shots are like there's a lot of white people in the background and the film stock is changing in between stuff. That's so funny.
He's leading them to Hogwarts.
What the fuck? They're the bird was just on that sign, wasn't he? All right. And here it is,
Oh,
star
action!
of Big Trouble in Little China and Prince of Darkness, Tremors,
Good old uh,
Victor Wong.
Victor Wong. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, uh, uh,
This is like the first fucking bit in the movie, and we're almost an hour in. Like we're 53
uh,
minutes in.
yeah, Victor Wong could have gave Pat Morita a run.
Yeah. How mysterious. Oh, and the parrot still there. So like, yeah, we now have like Eddie shooting an insert on a backlot and shit. Like
Yeah, I don't really believe it was out there.
filming filmed on location around the world. This does not seem.
No,
Wait a second. Okay.
Paramount has enough sets.
Yeah. And they got no problem shooting with stand-ins. Look at this fucking Lord of Illusions shit. I think that's it. I think that's the kid's last leaf,
uh,
last unestablished accessory here. Shit, I think that might actually be them walking into a matte painting from Star Trek, the original series. But I don't, oh, maybe this isn't the same temple as the first scene?
No, this is a lot smaller.
Okay. God, this is a terrible bit.
Oh, yeah.
So dumb.
Mm.
Oh, you know what's a good movie? Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, this just doesn't. You know, a better crossover, East and West, was The Last Dragon.
This feels like
That's what this was trying to be, and it just does. It's not because of Eddie or anything. It's just it's not. It doesn't work.
it feels like a
It's,
touchstone. Feels
yeah,
like a proto touchstone.
this is any star vehicle for anybody. Which this could have been Eddie. This could have been Whoopi. This could have been, like you say, Mel Gibson. It could have been anybody doing this just mid ass flop fantasy fucking shit. Trying to think of somebody else who could have done it.
Well, no, yeah, I mean anybody could have. That's a good point. Like
This could have been, look, you could have put Tom Hanks in this shit, and it probably would have been a bigger hit. It made money because it was Eddie. It's just, it,
it's not an Eddie movie. Yeah.
right. People ran to this because Beverly Hills Cop.
Which was not an Eddie movie, right? Like
Well, it
the
was
I
his,
it was his
because he'd already, look, it was, what, 48 hours,
Trading Places,
trading places, and then
which I
Best
forgot
Defense
last
was
week or something or 2 weeks
yeah,
ago. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. But yeah, this should have been like this culmination of
right.
Eddie like kicking ass in his like leading man pilot, right? Like
Yeah, it should have just been a next step from Beverly Hills Cop. And then it felt like it's definitely a step backward because by Beverly Hills Cop 2, he's superstar Eddie Murphy. You know, this is popular Eddie Murphy doing
yes, and that's something that we're not doing Raw because Raw was a huge hit and it was just like a huge video hit, huge cable hit. It was
you know what the Golden Child is? This is like your first movie you do after you leave Saturday Night Live. That's what this is.
yeah, it kind of yeah.
If you're
This
not
could
doing a movie based on whatever character you used to play, you do some shit like this. Like Eddie shouldn't have done this movie unless it was in recent years.
well like
Talking life era Eddie Murphy should have done.
and he could run into ghosts played by Eddie Murphy. Well, also though, it's like a fucking Well, this is just bad here because now we discover that we're in this tiny little room, right? Now we're on a fucking
Yeah, look at that. It
we're
doesn't.
we're in a
It's not
fucking
a cave.
what do you call it? Full moon entertainment set here. We're not even on a Canon production. Like,
That's why the background is all black.
yeah. And then we got this
Probably
shitty, like it's just their basement. It's and they'll try to turn it into a bit and it doesn't do anything. It's just like,
that
oh
actually
wait,
does.
look at
That does look like the ninja cave.
look at Michael Beach in the cuts. It doesn't actually help this movie that we came to this just after watching the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which do have a bunch of like fantasy action set pieces. Like they're nightmares, but they're fantasy action, right? Like there's supernatural action, which this movie goes for, and is just like,
Yeah,
how
you
did
can't.
you? Well, okay. Also, you know who would have this seems now knowing the supernatural vibe that I was unaware of last time because I really did just think it was like a modern day Alan Quartermain or something and like
Well, this right here could be because I mean
yeah, I mean this
this is very similar to later on when Indiana Jones did the Grail run. You know,
yeah, and we oh god, I don't know, maybe some oh, the Alan Quartermains might be interesting. Look at how fucking cheap this looks. We're in Crystal Lake.
look at the
Um
wire.
this would also be the dagger in the shadow. I recommend the shadow, but the
Look
dagger
at
effect.
the
Look at that wire. Look
fucking
at it. Look
wire.
at the wire reflecting.
Damn.
Oh, it's mean. It's mean. Um,
You're not supposed to look at it, but damn, it's just
okay, so now here he's doing like a riddle. So maybe when he was on public, when he was a local celebrity, he did riddles or something. He was Quiz Kid
oh,
Chandler
he
Gerald.
was a kid show host.
Yes, Quiz Kid Chandler Gerald. Eddie should we should get in touch with Eddie
Oh,
Murphy
look
Productions
at
Inc.
that.
Okay, I totally forgot whatever thread I was on a while ago, folks, so I won't be going back to that, just in case anybody was really hoping that I had something. His outfit doesn't not look like that Assassin's Creed vest, just gonna say. So apparently he just gets to leave that thing and it was easier. We don't get to see any of that. Like what?
Right, he just walks back over with no problem.
This was fucking weirding me out when I watched it because she's just down there sitting, but look at what she appears to be sitting next to a child made out of rocks. Look at this. So Eddie is talking about how he wants to marry her.
Hmm.
So that's Eddie's talking about that, and Victor is picking his nose. It feels like a Saturday Night Live skit, a
Yeah.
bad one. Like that, they're like, wait, the joke is the boogers. That was the joke. And so they're talking about. Oh shit! Also,
Hmm.
he gets a quest. Eddie gets a quest here. I don't think he does the quest. Okay, so Eddie's got to get rapid fire enlightenment to be worthy of Charlotte. He needs to trust someone he has no reason to trust. Make a promise to someone he's just met. You must love someone who loves you. But if he does the quest, if he accomplishes those things, I think it's never called out. I mean,
Mm.
technically, I guess that would help with the golden, that would all work with the golden child's rescue. So, but we'll have to
Yeah, isn't he
wait.
gonna have moments where he's like, "Wait a minute,
Nope, no moments like that. Not even like the saint where Elizabeth Shue forgets to point out the third miracle. Okay, it is a busted up statue she's sitting next to. It's not a kid, but it's like, why is there a busted up statue out there? Like, that's weird. That's a weird little bit to.
well, that's probably from the attack from earlier, right?
No, because
If
that was
it's
a
supposed to be,
different. It's supposed
it
to
was
be a
a different
different
temple,
place.
right?
That you
Yeah.
said the other place was bigger. And
Mm.
how could they have wasted Victor Wong given.
Why did they not exploit her? I mean, she definitely has a look. I could
Um,
see her in half a Maria Conchita Alonso movie.
Maria Conchita Alonso can deliver her lines with intensity.
There you go. Yeah.
You know who she reminds me of? This is going to be mean. She's like Minka Kelly version one.
Well, this chick, she can emote differently. She does a lot with her eyes.
Yeah,
See
but
that?
all she's doing is like kids movie like
Well, yeah.
Savannah Smiles. It's fucking weird. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
but we just missed out. Victor Wong's her dad. She's also in love with Eddie, or she's on her way to being in love with Eddie. She wants to be in love with Eddie, but he doesn't care about anything except he was a fucking finder of lost children who risked his life to do so. So like it's very weird. Here we are on another soundstage.
Just say no, kids. I'm about to eat the last blueberry gummy.
Hopefully it'll kick in time for the demon. Okay, there's only 20 minutes left. I remember the demon thing taking 45 minutes, so maybe it'll be better. Okay, here we have bit player white shitty white guy. Like why isn't this somebody?
Old Craven.
Right, like no, you weren't going to get Harrison Ford for it, but like there could have been some kind of a joke. Here we have Eddie doing a fucking Beverly Hills Cop bit.
Oh, they wouldn't have made the movie if he couldn't do this here.
God, was that in the trailer?
Probably. Yep.
Fucking
I wouldn't
A.
doubt it. See, she does a lot with her facial expressions, but Minka Kelly, she only has like two or three stock expressions.
Right. What I'm saying though is Mickey Kelly made a success out of that.
Yeah.
Charlotte Lewis did not. Charlotte Lewis tried to be like
Well, she's exotic and mysterious.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean she was definitely going to be exploited for that
Because
and
like
she
dialogue isn't gonna help her much.
no. On the way there, they sat on the other side. This time they're sitting on the other side. Clearly, this was shot.
The shit was reversed. They flipped the
Oh God, it's the
they
same.
reversed Yeah,
Oh
it's the same.
God,
They
it's
filmed the
the
shit in the
same
same day.
thing. Oh my God, that's like, oh dude, I hope not. Oh God. Oh man, I think you're right. I bet they
That's how
didn't.
budgeted this movie
I
is.
bet
Because
they didn't fucking walk across. Oh, okay. So here we have what again, it feels like a Saturday Night Live thing. Okay,
oh yeah, because
also,
he's gonna do the shit here.
yeah, he's gonna do the Acmel Foley. So, um, this would have been a great like pre Die Hard revelation Alan Rickman.
Mm,
If Alan Rickman were willing to do the comedy, right? Like he wasn't, or maybe he would have been. Who knows?
no, he wasn't. Wasn't there a while where he just really took himself too seriously, and then he was like, you know what, I'm gonna
uh,
let that go.
I don't know if he was he taking himself too seriously or is he just going where the money was?
Mm,
But I don't know if taking himself too seriously meant he wouldn't have done humor. I don't
right,
know.
because he did do Dogma.
Yeah, but that was 98 and
Yeah.
they did Galaxy Quest right after it. And it's like he could have been
Hmm.
doing Galaxy Quest since fucking this era and getting and been a
Hmm.
much bigger star if he'd been willing to do um British guy with stick up his ass who can do comedy.
He could have been a British Dabney Coleman. That's what they
British
needed.
Dabney Coleman. He could have been a British Joe Pesci from Lethal Weapon.
Hmm.
Like Eddie has embarrassed
Charles
Charles Dance.
Charles Dance thing is he's good at playing it straight, and it's something like this. Like I'm sure he knows it's just a travesty to be
Yeah. He was like, I did it because I thought it'd be fun to do an Eddie Murphy movie, and then it wasn't fun. Or he's like,
right
it wasn't good, but it was fun doing it. He
because he was
is
in. I liked him in Last Action Hero.
yes, more cheaper than Alan Rickman. Yes, when he was in that
Yeah,
last action. Yeah,
shit, I might have liked him better than Arnold in that shit.
I think that's probably safe to say. Okay, so now they're getting ready for bed. She's going to be upset that he doesn't want to come to bed, but her dad told him not to fuck her until he's proven himself. She's going to take that as a rejection because her dad did not tell her not to fuck him. Fucking weird is what it is.
Yeah, since they already apparently have, you know,
Yeah.
hmm, very nice.
Okay, so now we're going to get some more of Michael Ritchie's terribly shot action sequences.
Who was the 14-year-old with the machine gun?
All right. I mean, that is the other big difference between this and Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Also, him not coming into the bedroom in the same shot is weird. This whole thing is cut very awkwardly. Um, but um, Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop 2, they care about the action scenes.
Hmm.
This is not as well directed as Spider-Man versus the Bear. Like
That music.
this, it feels
Yeah.
like Caddyshack 2 type shit. Like,
Yeah. What the hell?
so the original John Barry score was released in some form, so I'm curious how that is because I like me some John Barry.
It probably sounds a little more straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's like a John Barry. I mean, action, supernatural action. Down for that. Down to give that a
Mhm.
shot. Except they kept the John Barry wrote the opening song, which is all about how wonderful a man Chandler Jarrell is. Now, didn't Eddie have an album at some point?
Um, yeah. Party All the Time was, I think that was 83 or 84.
Okay.
It might have been 85, but it was somewhere around this time too.
Because that felt like a music video.
Oh, gotta get. All up in front of a screen looking shit.
Yeah, that was that is 1985.
I don't know why I'm fucking screaming all the time over here.
Oh my God.
Hmm?
The cover to the album. Dude,
Hmm?
um, the fucking album art's amazing. For his two like straightforward albums. Or the third one is the one that
What's the
isn't
one
the
where he's on the
third
piano?
that's the first one. That's fucking awesome. That fucking Sears looking like no, everybody like in the 80s, you'd be like, hey, that looks like you got your thing at Sears, your suit at Sears, and they're like, no, it actually costs like $3,500 if it's from Italy. And it's like, oh well, in the picture it looks just like the one from fucking Sears, dude. Like,
Mhm.
um, then the second album's cover is him in a leather jacket looking like pensive.
Oh.
The third one is the Michael Jackson produced one, so it's like the um it's too long and it's like kind of he's like sitting in flowers on a
Oh.
cloudy backdrop. But the first one is fucking awesome. The Party All Night single cover is um is he wearing? I'm not going to zoom in on Eddie's bronzed chest, but he could be wearing the medallion from this film. Um,
Yeah, That's the one he wore for years.
Okay, so then yes, same continuity.
I
Chandler
think it's his.
Jarrell might have had a.
I think it's his initials. Something.
I do not like those shoes. Those
I think he
seem
was
like
wearing it since Delirious.
those
Shit.
shoes seem like the shoes of a 54-year-old man with hip problems.
Orthopedics.
Oh, did I make the comment? This is the most obvious John Landis movie in the world, and why the fuck didn't he direct it? Or I meant to make that comment at some point, but now I'm back to that.
Well, this is
Liter
when people were kind of.
well, yes, he had just gotten done manslaughtering those Vic Morrow and the children. Um, but this is like the most obvious. This should be a John Landis movie. Like,
Mm, it would be 2 hours, so it'd be long as shit.
that is true. What? No, wait. He did. He just did Spies Like Us. That's right. No, he didn't actually have any career slowdown. We're thinking about that
Eh,
wrong.
oh, Spies Like Us. That was wasn't that a video hit
Oh yeah, no. I'm thinking. Oh, dude, he might have done Into the Night at this
into
era.
the night? Yeah.
So, like, when I think of John Landis doing this, I think of it being good, like innocent, like done like Innocent Blood and paced well and good. Like, I do not wish it to be just any John Landis movie,
It was Into the Night and Amazon Women on the Moon.
which I've still never seen. Okay, the demon shit is only 11 minutes, everyone. That is so exciting. Maybe he trusted Ty Cobb and he'll make a promise to the kid. How,
Oh, there you go.
how,
Kid had a line.
how? If you
Oh
wanted
no.
to make this movie, how did you not get Amblin involved? Like Eddie Murphy and the cute little magic kid might be a fun movie. Why didn't we watch that? Instead, we're watching them fighting like the fucking what was that TV movie? Gargoyles? Are the Gargoyles special effects in Gargoyles better than this?
Uh,
But they like put so much into the bit with the stop motion. It's like I don't know that Michael Ritchie's ever directed any effects as much as this or been involved with this many effects. I don't know that anything ever happens with that falling thing either.
no.
You know what
Uh,
had really great composite special effects? Supergirl. Supergirl, the movie, it turns out.
yeah. A lot of those flight scenes.
Oh, dude, Michael Ritchie directed Wildcats the same year as this. Oh, I
Uh,
hate that movie.
really?
I don't like Wildcats. I mean, I don't. No.
It's funny.
I like a lot of Michael Ritchie stuff. Actually,
One of
Smile.
the it's one of the better Goldie Hawn ones.
I think that's accurate, and that's what terrifies me. Uh, Digstown. Love the Digstown. Simple Wish in the late 90s, which was Martin Short as a Fairy
Oh,
Godmother. I do not. I've
damn.
never seen it,
I forgot about that one.
and I do not know how much effects work was in it. But
Well, I think it was an effects movie. Like,
yeah, but that was the late '90s, so it could just have been cheesy ass late '90s studio effects. Who knows?
right, it was one of those. I think they had a lot of There was a point where they had a lot of fantasy movies in the
They,
'90s.
yeah, they. What Fairy Tale the movie? Like,
There
how
was
is that?
just a stretch where they had so many of those. The fucking Page Master, uh, the one with the kangaroos. They had a shit ton of them. Just
So, the Golden Child has the power to resurrect someone who has been killed as long as the sunlight from the next day, because she died last night, of the following day has not passed, as long as she's still in the sun, the Golden Child could bring them back.
mm,
I feel like that would be a full-time job. Like, why isn't the Golden Child just out there bringing all the people back that like die, like not of old age or some shit? Like something that the Golden Child can just fix with a touch. Because spoiler alert, it'll just be a touch. Like, we don't have sealing the wound money. Uh-huh. This feels like, you know who else could have done this? 1993. Carl Weathers leaning into a Black Briscoe County bit.
right, yeah, see that too.
Just up the goofy factor a bunch. And it's Carl Weathers being funny before he thought too much about acting.
Huh. Yeah, because he would have been coming off of what's that? In the Heat of the Night.
Oh shit, that's right. That's right though. I don't know. I was thinking more you want that energy off of Hurricane Smith or whatever,
Mm.
where he's like hungry and willing to like do the action. So you'd have a lot more action. Okay, so here we are set for the sequel.
Oh, the Bird too.
It's back. Apparently, Eddie and the 18-year-old girl are going to raise the golden child. And now we just have jokes about like pop culture,
Mm.
which is like not an Eddie Murphy thing. It's weird. So he has to laugh at his joke. All right, so here are the credits that I did not watch, so we'll have to pay attention to all these fine credits. Looking
This
for
awful fucking.
Al Leong did some of the stunts though. What's up?
Huh.
Ken
Thinking
Ralston.
Steve Winwood is gonna start singing or something.
No, when Michelle Colimbal is bad. Michelle Colimbal is bad. We are. Oh wait, we didn't check. We are in for 3.5 minutes of credits, folks. So next week's episode will be another 48 hours.
Mm.
Which is actually not from the 80s, but it was made in the 80s, probably. And it came out in 90. And that sort of ended this cycle of Eddie's career, because Boomerang would sort of kick off the next sort of,
Next leg.
yeah. And so Walter Hill, who had was still hanging on to a theatrical film career in the by 1990 as a director, but things were starting to get hard for him. And then
Chris Wallace.
on the effects,
Demon props.
yeah,
Yeah.
of The
No.
Fly.
Fly and I think he did some work on Gremlins. One of the Gremlins movies.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this also feels very much like it could have been a Gremlins-y thing, and it wasn't. Here's
Right.
your,
Like those minions could have been little demon type.
yeah. Industrial Light and Magic did the effects. Well, Phil Tippett did the,
Hmm. Demon
wow.
supervisor. Hey.
Oh, boys, I am sorry, but you have done
Yeah.
much better work, sirs.
They did a quickie job is what it is.
This can't. I hope this is on the soundtrack as Chandler's theme. Tibet
No,
West, Tibet West, New York.
it just is not.
Sequences,
Yeah, sequences.
sequences with Edward Murphy, or no?
They probably got that look-alike to stand in.
Well, no, because there was two shots where it was the two of them on location, but it was just from behind. I noticed it. And, yeah.
Oh wow! See, this is cool.
Yep.
It started with the 75th anniversary logo, and then it ends with the old school one.
Shame nothing else in the movie is as cool as that little bit of branding trivia.
Right.
Yeah. So hope you enjoyed The Golden Child. Some people did.
Mm.
A lot of other people were probably pretty mad in 1986. Pretty mad. Don't know
Yeah, it
why.
was the first big Eddie disappointment.
Because nobody made it to Best Defense, right? Like, not enough people. Eddie didn't suffer resentment for Best Defense. Maybe from a handful of people who saw it opening day before they got the word that it wasn't a real fucking movie. But um this would have been, it still did well. It still made some Christmas money.
Yeah,
And to some degree, the reality of the Christmas movie season is as long as it's not too bad, you could always make some money. So, like, you have to be pretty bad not to be able to make some money at Christmas.
yeah, yeah.
So, and in the
Very true.
fucking, in the 80s, this still would have been out probably in first run in January, for fuck's sake. So, this should have been, I mean, I'm sure it did have some Christmas legs, but it should have had more. Should have been as Indiana Jones. Could have been a breakout. Could have been an action spectacle, right? And they just
It's always
really,
something when they have the audacity to tease a sequel or
yeah.
something not quite you know
Well, just, I mean, everybody, whether or not people wanted it or not, whether or not audiences actually wanted it or not, there was always this idea of having your multiple franchises under your belt, of which
Mhm.
Harrison Ford, is he's certainly the most successful, but is he like the only successful? That he had three?
Well, They were the thing about Harrison Ford is after him, they were all kind of clout chasing him. You know,
Well, they were all kind of cloud
Badger.
chasing him.
They really tried with Dennis Quaid. Like he was supposed to be the next one. It didn't really happen with him. It didn't. Uh, Kurt Russell sort of stayed in his lane and didn't take advantage of it. I don't think.
No, Kurt Russell, when Kurt Russell was finally ready to fucking just like do a fucking franchise picture, he did like Fast and the Furious. It was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I was so embarrassed for him. I don't think I'd seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2 yet when I realized that I shouldn't be embarrassed for him and he can just own all that shit on his own. But like for Fast and the Furious, I'm like, dude, you're Kurt Russell. Like that used to mean something.
Yeah.
People let you get away with Tango and Cash. People let you get away with Big U. Like, oh. Yeah, so next week, another 48 hours. Nick Nolte's back. That's all I remember. I've seen it once. So that'll be something.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it'll be this. I don't think it'll be a fucking flying demon. Oh,
No. Another 48 hours. No, there's no. There's just a stupid twist villain. It's the dumbest shit they could have came up with. Yeah, that's about it. That's all I remember from it.
we really should have started keeping track of stupid villain twists because doesn't FX2 have a really stupid villain twist too?
All right, the chick was a turncoat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think it was the years of that. Like, there's a reason M. Night captured the popular imagination, whether you like it or not. Okay,
Mm,
just
yeah.
not having your villain be as obvious as fucking an episode of Automan, I guess, would be the first. Mm, I got nothing else for the Golden
Yeah,
Child.
I'm done with it. I, it was not very. Ugh.
It's better than Best Defense. So
It
there
is
you
better than
go.
Best Defense. It's at least entertaining. Best Defense is just a fucking film.
It is a series of events that were filmed, packaged, and released for us to watch.
Yeah.
That is technically true about Best Defense.
Yep. That's the most accurate description of Best Defense.
Oh, collected
Alrighty.
garbage from the cutting room floor? Perhaps. But all right, folks.
Yes. Good evening.